Good day to you, one and all. It is I, Justin Hawkins, and this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again. Today I'm talking about the dark side of global success. REM's Peter Buck has opened up on the negative sides of global fame, and he says, I don't know if anyone really enjoys that. It's an interesting topic, isn't it? Also, before I get into that, I'm going to try and transpose the theme tune up to, just to see what it does. Justin Hawkins rides again. It's quite nice, actually, isn't it? Apart from that blooming buzzing noise that keeps coming. I've got to try and stop swearing. Okay, so there was an article, or two articles by Ultimate Guitar and Classic Rock concerning this, the dark side of global success. REM's former songwriter and guitarist, Peter Buck, remember him? He's really cool, looked back on the massive success his band enjoyed, noting how living such a high-profile life became overbearing at one point. As soon as you hear that sentence, you suddenly think, oh, what, selling millions of records and touring all over the world? Yeah, what's wrong with that? That sounds all right, doesn't it? I mean, it's, which is a fair point. There is definitely a lot of privilege involved here, and, it's a bit, it plays into that sort of question of relatability as well. Like, if you spend your, formative years learning how to do music, and then you get an opportunity to do music, then you do it to a point where you're unbelievably successful, how can you really complain about it? But here's what he says. Anyway, REM stopped being outsiders. That's what it was. When you see that old footage of REM, they're definitely like art rock, aren't they? But then they started writing songs that were so broad, that it's impossible to not relate to. Like, if you're going to write a song called Everybody Hurts, that's just the most global theme you can have. Everybody in the world listen to that and go, yeah, that's true, actually. Because regardless of how well your life goes, or you can dodge accidents and heartbreak and all that sort of stuff, but every day you have the same, it's not the same as everybody else's, but you have a spectrum of emotions, and if you're present and in the moment, you're experiencing all those things, including the pain and the hurt. So that is, like, for me, I always use Everybody Hurts as the example of the ultimate broad, all-encompassing song that the whole world can relate to. Anyway, they stopped being outsiders after they achieved the worldwide fame with hits like Losing My Religion. Well, I never had a religion in the first place. I'm sorry if that alienates half of my audience or more. It's just the way it is. I was brought up, atheist or agnostic? It was never a subject in my household. Anyway, the one I love, we've all loved one, haven't we? We all have loved ones. It should have been the ones I love, and then it could have been about your family and pets. Everybody Hurts, I've already talked about that. Anyway, Peter Buck says that he's grateful that he got to experience the height of the band's success, and asked at which point of his band's career was he the happiest. He replied, the 80s, I think. But when it got really big, which must have been the 90s, I don't know if anyone really enjoys that. When the non-musical stuff became so intense, it took away some of the pleasure for me. It's just the stuff where you kind of wake up and go, God, I don't really want to have my picture taken today. And I don't really want to pretend to be an actor in some video where I can't act. Oh my God. Yeah, so basically to achieve things in the music realm is brilliant, and you're getting sort of validation for the efforts that you've put in a really difficult industry to break into. But then there's all the sort of peripheral stuff that you have to do. I actually often say the same thing, really. Video shoots, oh my God, it's the worst. Unless there's a real, I actually do enjoy acting, but unless there's like a purpose to the video and it's properly laid out and there's a shot list and there's a director who has some sort of vision but a lot of the time at a certain level, like a low to medium level, it's just like someone gets a camera. Oh, he's got a camera, he can do the video, can't he? Oh, all right, yeah. And then the cameraman's like this. Justin, just see that rock over there? Jump off the rock. Yeah, that's it. Cool. And then there's a there's a kind of fence post there. Why don't you make it look like it's going up your bum for a minute? Yeah, that's really funny, brilliant. Oh, God, that's not how you do it. I'd rather not be in a video, so I understand how he feels about that. He says, I loved playing Glastonbury and playing in front of lots of people and selling multiple millions of records. Yeah, that sounds all right, doesn't it? But it was never the reason I did it. And when we got to the point where we decided that it was the end, it felt like a great shared experience. I wouldn't change it, but I'm not going to go back to it. I just remembered that I met Michael Stipe at the MTV Awards in Edinburgh, the MTV Music Video Awards, or the whatever it was. Anyway, it was in 2003, I think. And we had dinner together. He didn't strike me as a happy individual, but maybe that's the whole point. Maybe that was his sort of offstage persona. He has a slightly kind of how can I put this? He has a slightly unapproachable vibe to him, which just made me want to go up to him and say, "Right, Michael, I love your music. You're brilliant." Doesn't always appearing to be unapproachable can be a challenge to people like me, annoying people. Asked whether 2011 was the right time to call it quits, he replied, I think so. The last two records were really strong, but I just felt like no matter how good our last record was, it wasn't really our time anymore. God, that's interesting, isn't it? So you're only doing it for the music, but then when your audience dwindles to the point where it's, cult status, maybe not selling the multi-millions, but still able to exist, that isn't the time to stop, I don't think. If you feel like you're still a creative force and the last records are good, keep going. Keep making them until they're not good anymore, isn't it? Keep going until you're in the studio and you make a record, you listen back to it and you go, this is a piece of garbage. That's what they probably would have said. Anyway, he said, and that's fair. I understand that it wasn't really our time anymore. And we were lucky. The last tour we did, we were still playing to huge amounts of people. We went to South America, which was like being the Beatles. So everyone felt like, yeah, this is a really good stopping point. I always say the same thing, if that thing when they say, like, if you chop down a tree in a forest and nobody hears it fall, did it ever make a sound in the first place? I think the squirrels can hear it, first of all. Second of all, I think the same thing about music. Like, if there's no audience, then what's the point in making it? And when I say audience, I mean it could be your nan, it could just be yourself, could be a cult fan base, could be millions and millions of people. But I don't know, it sounds to me like they've still got an audience. I'm not sure if it's the right stopping point. What do you think, guys? Use the comment section below. Should they have carried on? It's R.E.M. They're classics, aren't they? Great songs. So, is there such a thing as too much success? Too much success is the point at which the peripheral activities that you are obliged to do to maintain your trajectory, or at least to sort of cling to the side of the cliff and not fall, if that outweighs the making of the music itself and is stopping you from enjoying the music, then yeah, that's too much success. The impact of being incredibly successful on your craft is that I think about one of the things I love about R.E.M. is that from beginning to end, the guitars were audible. They never did that thing that I always complain about with certain other bands, when the guitars are audible in the first record and then they gradually becomes a dance project and you can scarcely hear a live band in there. That's not what R.E.M. did. They always sounded like a band. So I don't think that the craft itself was affected by their successfulness, or their success rather, but I do think that they started writing songs that were much broader. Actually, no, they didn't. They just had that one song that was super broad. Everything else was still very niche, especially lyrically. I reckon they weathered the storm there. But maybe it's that thing like going out at the top. Maybe they did the Eric Cantona, but of the music trade. Because you think about 2011, that was like such a long time ago. They could have made like 3 or 4 albums in that time. So where is the sweet spot? Is it mega fame or is it something else? Depends. I mean, I think the mega fame is that's the thing that eats away at your soul. So maybe it's just under mega fame. Fame is like it should only ever be a byproduct or a side effect of being a successful musician that makes things, that connects with a lot of people. The fame itself is not relevant at all to the thing that you are famous for, really, is it? It's just suddenly people know your face and they want to know more about your life because of the music. It should be the music first, right? The music's the only thing that matters, right, lads? Kids, girls, boys, everyone in between, right? You know what I'm saying? And the inconvenience of fame, is that the price that you pay for success? I mean, is it possible to actually be successful and maintain the mystique and not have that sort of fame presence where you're always on panel shows, talk shows? You didn't dodge those things. You just say no. That's easy. But I don't think you can really dodge people following you around with a camera when you leave your house if you're mega famous. So yeah, I think that is probably one of the prices that you pay. But it depends how you measure success as well. Like for me, if you write a song and then when you play it to somebody, you find yourself planted with your legs apart going, yes, this is great, now I feel great. It's not actually about the audience, it's about how you feel about the song when you play it. But you have to have an audience there to understand how that feels. Do you know what I mean by that? So it doesn't matter how many people are in the audience. As I said before, you could just be playing it to your mum. But if it feels good, you know it's good. But it's the act of performing it that gives you that feeling. And there has to be somebody else in the room that hasn't been privy to the process. And that's how you know if you've done something good. That's success for me. If you play it to your mum and then you go, oh, actually this is good, this feels good, I'm confident and proud of this. But then if the room has not just your mum but like 150 people in a pub or 10,000 people in an arena or more, then then they're probably going to want to take pictures of you, whereas your mum won't. So the sweet spot is somewhere between, I think, playing to your mum and playing to stadiums in South America. And it's hard to find the sweet spot, and once you've found it, it doesn't stay there very long. So it's very challenging. It's an interesting debate though, isn't it? So use the comment section below. I want to hear things about privilege, relatability. I want to hear about the money side of it and the fickle finger of fame and how that relates to destiny. You know, if you were born to do music, then these are the tribulations that you have to endure in order to be allowed to do that. That's just the nature of this business, unfortunately. But yeah, as I always say, mustn't grumble. You'll never hear me complaining. I'm going to try an extra semitone up, so... Okay. Justin Hawkins writes again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, watch one of these two videos, and listen to the glorious music of REM. Nice one, guys. See you on the ice.